Welcome back. Today we're diving into something most people feel but never quite understand. Why you seem to shift the atmosphere just by walking into a room. Buckle up, this one's personal. Let's get real. Have you ever noticed the energy in a room quietly shifting the moment you enter? No applause, no flashing lights, just an invisible yet undeniable pull toward you. Maybe people look, then look again. Or maybe their body language changes as if their soul is reacting before their mind catches up. This isn't ego, this is energy. And today, we're going to unravel why that keeps happening to you. This video isn't just a casual scroll and forget kind of content. It's a mirror, a reminder, a wake-up call. If you've ever walked through life feeling seen but not understood, you're in the right place. Because what you carry, it's not ordinary, it's spiritual. The aura that speaks before you do. Let's start with this. People feel your energy before you speak. You could be in line at a gas station, walking through a library, or sitting at a cafe, and still, someone notices you. You feel their eyes, their curiosity, maybe even their discomfort. And no, you're not imagining it. That's your aura doing the talking. Every human being has an energy field, an aura. But if you're tuned in spiritually, your aura doesn't just sit there. It radiates. It pulses with a frequency that challenges, comforts, or awakens. Most folks move through life on autopilot, but you're awake. You're in alignment with something higher, and that alignment speaks volumes, even in silence. You're not trying to stand out, but you do. Here's the irony. The more grounded you are in who you really are, the more you seem to stand out. And not in a flashy, look-at-me way. It's subtler. People don't always know what they're picking up from you, but they can't look away. Why? Because they're feeling a presence that breaks the noise of the world. Your light cuts through layers of deception, masks, and shallow connections. In a society addicted to surface-level validation, someone walking around with depth, without needing approval, is disruptive. People sense that your energy hasn't been shaped by trends, but by truth. That's rare, and rare energy always attracts attention. Spiritual confirmation, not coincidence. You felt it before, haven't you? That tug in your chest when someone stares a little too long, like they're trying to place you but can't. You've probably questioned it. Why do people look at me like that? Am I doing something wrong? Is something off about me? Stop second-guessing yourself. You're not crazy. You're not overanalyzing. You're carrying a vibration that's being spiritually recognized. There are layers to this world: physical, emotional, spiritual. Most people engage only with the first two. But when your soul is active, your spirit is perceived. Even if someone doesn't believe in auras or energy, their subconscious knows something is different about you. They can feel your authenticity, your clarity, and whether they're drawn to it or triggered by it, they can't ignore it. A niche frequency. There's a term that's usually thrown around in marketing and entrepreneurship, but it applies here in a powerful way. Niche. Your energy is a niche frequency in a saturated world of distractions. You're not broadcasting to everyone, and that's why the right ones feel it so deeply. Your presence resonates with a specific vibration that not everyone can handle. But the ones who can, they'll be moved, even changed, just by being near you. Think of your energy like a tuning fork. Some people resonate immediately, others can't handle the pitch. But either way, it's working. You weren't sent here to be generic. You were sent to be precise. impactful, targeted in a way that only your soul could deliver. The unspoken message of your light. Let's talk about what's actually happening when people stare at you. They're not looking at your outfit, your face, or even your posture. They're scanning for something they can't name. Their soul recognizes that your light carries a message, one that reveals, triggers, or heals. It's not always pleasant. Sometimes they get uncomfortable, even hostile. But that's not your issue. Your light isn't here to make others feel cozy. It's here to remind them of truth. This truth isn't shouted, it's felt. Your energy carries layers of battles, resilience, healing, and sacred preparation, and you wear that energy like a mantle, not loud, but undeniable. You've tried to dim it, haven't you? There was likely a time when you tried to make yourself smaller. Maybe you stayed quiet in rooms where your insight could have changed the conversation. Maybe you avoided eye contact to escape awkward interactions. Maybe you dressed down, spoke less, or laughed less, just to not draw attention. But it never worked, did it? Because your aura doesn't get the memo when you try to hide. Your light doesn't shrink. It intensifies under pressure. And that's because you weren't designed to disappear. You were designed to disturb the slumber of this world. Their stares are spiritual responses. Some stare with curiosity, some with confusion, a few with discomfort. But none of them are neutral, because your energy is never neutral. It's polarizing, potent, alive. And here's a perspective shift for you. The stares, the glances, the quiet observations, they're not just random social behavior. They're spiritual responses. Little signs that your presence is doing what it was meant to do. Shake something loose. So don't run from it. Don't shrink because of it. Don't explain it away. You're walking in sacred energy. And the world, whether it's ready or not, feels it. Quick reminder before we go deeper in the next part. If this message already resonates, leave a comment with the number that's been following you. 88 for abundance, 111 if you feel a new path opening. Subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with someone else who always seems to attract attention without ever asking for it. Now breathe. We're just getting warmed up. Let's go deeper. You're not just someone with good vibes. You're someone who reflects truth without trying. And that, chosen one, is powerful, but also disruptive. There's a reason people act strange around you after just a few minutes of being in your energy. One moment they're laughing, the next they're guarded. 1 minute they're curious, the next they're quiet. What changed? You didn't. They did. Or more accurately, their walls started crumbling. You don't just walk into a room. You reveal it. Let's be honest. Most people are wearing layers, masks of identity, performance, pain. But when you show up, those layers start peeling back. Your presence is like a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. This isn't because you're judgmental or intrusive. It's simply because your energy carries a frequency of truth, and truth always exposes what's been hidden. Have you noticed people confessing random things to you? Saying things like, "I don't know why I'm telling you this," or "I've never told anyone this before." That's not about you being easy to talk to. That's about your spirit being easy to be real around. Why some people avoid you, even when you're kind. This part might sting a bit. You've done nothing wrong. You've smiled, shown respect, stayed humble, and still, some people avoid you. They distance themselves. They give you that weird vibe. Here's the truth. It's not personal. It's spiritual. When someone has built their identity on illusion on roles, ego, status, your presence challenges that. Not by saying anything, not by doing anything, just by being. You make them feel seen in a way they didn't ask for. And not everyone wants to be seen, especially not in the way your energy reveals. You're a walking wake-up call. Whether you realize it or not, your energy is like a spiritual alarm clock. It wakes people up to the version of themselves they've forgotten or given up on. And that awakening? It's not always comfortable. Imagine someone who's spent years asleep emotionally or spiritually. Suddenly they feel something stir around you. Their mind might not get it, but their soul does. It starts remembering. And when that happens, they have two choices. Lean into the light and begin their own inner work. Run from the mirror and try to go back to sleep. Most choose the second, and you've probably felt the aftermath. People pulling away, getting cold, acting defensive. But don't take it as rejection. Take it as proof that your energy is doing what it was meant to do. You're not here to blend in. You're here to align. Let's reframe everything right now. You weren't created to fit in. That's not your assignment. You were created to resonate, to align people with their higher path. And alignment doesn't always feel good in the beginning. It stretches, it confronts, it awakens. That's why your energy is intense. It's meant to shift things. When people say you feel different, they're right. You are. But what they can't articulate is that you carry an energy that doesn't match the world's programming. You're not reactive. You're intentional. You're not chasing status. You're embodying purpose. And in a world addicted to performance, that kind of presence is radical. Stop taking it personally. Seriously, this part is crucial. You can't carry sacred energy and expect ordinary responses. The way people look at you, the way they treat you, the way they either lean in or pull away, it has nothing to do with your worth. It has everything to do with the frequency you carry. Think of your energy like spiritual sonar. It pings the souls around you. Some echo back in harmony. Others glitch out. But their reaction is not your responsibility. You don't need to do more to be accepted. You don't need to shrink to make others comfortable. You just need to remain centered in your truth and let your vibrations speak. Because trust me, it already is. You're a mirror, and mirrors don't apologize. You've probably been told you're too intense, that your presence is too much. But what they really mean is, you make them feel things they don't want to feel. And that's not something to fix. That's something to understand. You're not meant to numb your truth. You're meant to reflect. And mirrors don't filter the truth. They don't soften the reflection to spare someone's ego. They just show what's there. Your presence, without trying, reveals what's real. And in that reflection, people either feel safe or exposed. But either way, they remember you. Because real mirrors are rare. Here's what to do with that awareness. Now that you know your presence has power, here's how to carry it. Stay grounded. Don't be shaken by how others respond to you. Trust your energy. You don't need to explain your intuition to anyone. Use discernment. Not every stare deserves a return glance. Protect your peace. Stay open. You're here to align souls, not shut down to avoid discomfort. Walk in love. But let that love have boundaries. You weren't made to entertain. You were made to awaken. And one more thing. Drop a comment if you've ever had someone act weird around you for no reason. Or better yet, if people have opened up to you without prompting. Share your experience so others know they're not alone. Your story might be the confirmation someone else needs. Subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget, this journey is just beginning. Let's stretch beyond time for a second. Have you ever locked eyes with a total stranger and felt something ancient flicker in your chest? A calm knowing, a subtle ache, a voice that whispers, "I've met them before." You didn't exchange words. You didn't know their name, but your soul recognized something or someone. And that, chosen one, is exactly what we're unlocking in this chapter. Not every encounter is new. We're taught to think life is linear, that everyone we meet, we're meeting for the first time. But when you're spiritually attuned, you start noticing patterns that defy logic. Some people walk into your life and something shifts. The energy feels thick with memory, yet there's no earthly explanation for it. It's not déjà vu, it's soul familiarity. They stare, they pause, they feel something stir. Why? Because their spirit remembers yours. This happens to chosen ones more often than you realize. You've been here before, many times. And your soul didn't come empty. It brought wisdom, memories, missions, and yes, connections. Spiritual recognition. Without mental memory, here's where it gets deep. Your body doesn't remember. Your brain might not recall a name, but your spirit does. And so does theirs. That's why someone can look at you like they've seen a ghost. Not because they're scared of you, but because you're triggering a memory they've forgotten. You've walked together before. In temples, in battlefields, in divine spaces between lifetimes. You might have been guides, friends, family, or even rivals, but the recognition is real. Your frequency carries a signature, a vibration that can't be duplicated. When someone stares at you with that confused, lingering expression, what they're really saying is, "I know this soul, even if I can't say how." This is why you feel familiar to strangers. Ever notice how people open up to you fast? Or how someone you've just met says, "It feels like I've known you forever." It's not just chemistry. It's not just charisma. It's energetic memory. And the more aligned you are, the more people around you will remember the truth you carry, even if their mind can't comprehend it. Here's the catch. This remembrance isn't always warm. Sometimes people remember you from lifetimes where the connection wasn't peaceful. And that can explain some of the unspoken tension or even spiritual resistance you feel around certain individuals. But again, this is not about taking things personally. It's about understanding your timeline runs deeper than this life. You've been a leader, a healer, a keeper of codes. Chosen ones don't just arrive, they return. Many of you carry ancient energy that's been cultivated over multiple incarnations. And those missions, from light work to soul guidance, leave behind spiritual fingerprints. So when people stare at you today, some are feeling your past life authority. Others feel your healing energy, and a few may even sense the version of you they once followed or feared. Some people will treat you with reverence you didn't earn in this lifetime. Some will act oddly defensive around you, even when you've been nothing but kind. That's not coincidence. That's soul memory at work. You activate what's dormant in others. Your presence triggers remembrance, not just of who you are, but of who they are meant to be. And that awakening? It can feel like both a homecoming and a confrontation. That's why you may notice tears during conversations that felt ordinary. Why someone might feel deeply drawn to you, even if they don't know you. Why you walk away from a brief encounter feeling like something powerful just exchanged hands. Your light doesn't just shine, it calls. It calls people back to a truth they buried, to a version of themselves they lost, to a path they forgot. And whether they're ready to walk it or not, your energy awakens it. You are a soul signal. You don't need to advertise it. You don't need to wear spiritual labels or claim divine titles. Your energy does the work. People who are meant to cross paths with you will find you. And when they do, they won't recognize your face. They'll recognize your frequency. This is why some of your deepest spiritual connections might feel instant, and yet impossible to explain. Because they weren't meant to be explained. They were meant to be felt. The role of your eyes in all of this. Let's talk about your gaze. People have probably told you before, your eyes are intense, or you look like you can see right through me. That's because you can. Your eyes aren't just physical tools. They're spiritual transmitters. They carry memory. They carry activation. They carry divine intelligence your soul has stored for lifetimes. So when someone locks eyes with you, their soul gets the memo, even if their mind doesn't. That's why people stare and then look away. Why strangers feel exposed without you saying a single word. Why those who are open feel safe in your presence, like they've come home. You're not just being looked at, you're being recognized. The mission behind the memory. You weren't sent here to relive the past. You were sent to redeem it, to bring forward wisdom, to activate soul connections and break spiritual cycles. So what do you do with this memory? You honor it. You don't cling to it, but you listen to it. You allow it to guide your discernment. You understand that when people stare, it's not always this life they're reacting to. It might be echoes from something much older. You are more than this moment. You are a soul with history, a spirit with memory. And every step you take in this lifetime, you're carrying light from many before it. If this is resonating, comment with 1212 if you feel like your soul's been remembering more lately. Or 222. If you've been reconnecting with people who feel like old friends, even though you just met. And remember, you don't owe everyone access to your energy. Not all recognition is rooted in love. Use your intuition. Some souls come to remember, others come to repeat. You're not here to repeat. You're here to rewrite. Let's talk about the part no one warns you about. Yes, your energy draws people in. Yes, your spirit wakes people up. But what about the rooms that suddenly feel tense the moment you step inside? What about systems, structures, and dynamics that instantly shift when you show up? That's not random. That's because you carry a vibration that doesn't match the program. And when your energy doesn't match the system reacts. You are a glitch in the spiritual matrix. Most people walk through life in a trance. They do what they're told. They believe what they're shown. They follow the script. And they don't question the illusion because the illusion feels safe. But you were never hypnotized by it. You've always sensed something was off. You've always challenged what others accepted. And even when you didn't have the words for it, your spirit refused to comply. That resistance isn't rebellion, it's alignment. And that alignment, it's what makes you stand out. Not just in rooms, but inside entire systems built to keep people asleep. Why you feel tension in normal environments, you've probably felt it. A meeting starts to feel weird when you speak up. You walk into a classroom, a workplace, even a family gathering, and something shifts. It's subtle, but it's real. The atmosphere tightens. People glance sideways. Conversation halts. What's happening? Your vibration is interrupting the program. You are carrying energy that doesn't submit to performance, manipulation, or conformity. And the systems that thrive on those things, they notice. Not because you're loud, but because your truth is loud. You don't even have to speak to create disruption. Your presence alone threatens anything built on illusion. You were sent to wake people, not please them. Let's be clear. Your role isn't to comfort people in their sleep. It's to stir their soul until they remember they're alive. You weren't designed for people-pleasing. You were designed for divine disruption. Your spirit is a frequency the system can't code. It can't categorize you. It can't control you. And that makes you unpredictable, uncontainable, uncomfortable for those still operating in spiritual autopilot. That's why you might notice authority figures treating you differently, often without cause. Why people project things onto you that don't fit. Why you get labeled as too intense, too honest, or too much. You're not too much. You're just not programmable. They'll call you difficult before they call you divine. You've probably been misunderstood since childhood. Not because you were problematic, but because you saw through the performance. You questioned the rules, not out of defiance, but because your soul was wired for something real. Maybe adults couldn't explain you. Teachers didn't know what to do with you. Peers respected you but kept their distance. All of that wasn't rejection. It was spiritual conflict. Because when someone walks in truth, it makes every lie in the room feel like it's being watched. That's what your energy does. It doesn't accuse. It illuminates. And light doesn't always get applause, especially in rooms where the shadows are still in charge. The matrix can't process your frequency. Let's go all the way here. The matrix isn't just a metaphor. It's a spiritual system built on illusion. Fear, ego, scarcity, false identity. It trains people to conform, consume, and forget. But when someone like you shows up, unshaken, aware, aligned, the illusion cracks. You don't follow rules just to belong. You don't chase approval to feel worthy. You don't participate in what's fake just to keep the peace. And so, the system doesn't know what to do with you. It's like you're a living glitch, a sacred code that doesn't match the program. And that's exactly what you are. You weren't sent to adapt to the matrix. You were sent to remind people that they can break out of it. Why you might attract chaos or conflict. You're not chaotic, but your energy reveals where the real chaos is. And that's why you've likely experienced backlash for no reason. Sudden judgment, passive-aggressive behavior, people getting defensive when all you did was exist. You didn't provoke them. Your vibration did. When someone's mask is cracking, their ego gets loud, and your presence? It's a mirror to the soul, not the ego. So the ego fights back. Don't take that personally. Take it as confirmation. You're a disruptor of the default settings. You weren't born to agree with everything. You were born to question, to awaken, to disrupt. That's not negativity. That's clarity. And in a system that thrives on confusion, clarity is rebellion. Your presence asks questions even when your mouth is silent. Why are we pretending? Why are we hiding? Why are we following this script? Some people will thank you for that. Others will resist. But either way, they won't forget you. Because once someone feels the truth in your energy, they can never unfeel it. This is why you must protect your energy. Being a disruptor doesn't mean being reckless. It means being intentional. You don't need to enter every room. You don't need to fight every battle. You're not here to destroy the system. You're here to awaken the people within it. And that awakening? It starts with you staying aligned. So guard your spirit. Be wise with your words. Choose where you share your presence. And know this: when the system reacts to you, you're doing something right. If this resonates, drop 1111 in the comments to affirm your alignment, or 555 if you're currently watching systems shift around you. Don't shrink when you're shaking the room. Don't apologize when the matrix gets loud. It means you're walking in truth, and truth is always disruptive. Let's talk about something most people notice about you, but rarely have the courage or language to explain: your eyes. Not just how they look, but how they see. You've heard the comments before. Your eyes are intense. It's like you're looking straight through me. I don't know why, but your eyes feel different. Those aren't just compliments. They're spiritual observations. Your eyes don't just observe, they transmit, they read, they activate. And today, we're unpacking exactly why. You were given eyes that remember. Your eyes have history, not just in this life, but from many before it. They've seen sacred spaces. They've witnessed pain, healing, truth, divine union, and spiritual battle. And all of that memory? It lives within your gaze. You don't need to speak for people to feel your presence. You don't need to explain yourself for others to feel understood, because your eyes carry your soul's frequency. When people stare at you, they're not just seeing color or shape. They're experiencing vibration. It hits them deep, sometimes deeper than they can process. You see past the surface, and they feel it. Here's what makes your gaze different. It bypasses the mask. Most people go through life performing. They wear emotional makeup. They rehearse smiles and rehearse roles. But your eyes? They cut through all of that. You don't look at people. You see them. You feel their energy. You recognize their essence. And whether they admit it or not, they know that you know. That's why some people get fidgety around you, why they can't hold eye contact, why they act awkward even though you've been nothing but present. They feel exposed, not because you called them out, but because your gaze reminded them of what they've buried. Your eyes speak a language the soul understands. Let's go deeper. Your eyes don't just read people, they awaken people. There's a language beyond speech, and your soul is fluent in it. Through your eyes, others feel the vibration of safety, the call to truth, the mirror of who they could become. That's why some people cry around you unexpectedly, why they confess things they haven't told anyone, why they say things like, "I feel like you see the real me," because you do. And in a world addicted to surface-level interaction, that kind of perception is revolutionary. Your gaze activates dormant codes. You've probably heard of light codes, DNA activation, or soul memory. Well, your eyes carry them. They are living conduits of your divine assignment. When you lock eyes with someone, you're not just making a connection. You're waking something up, breaking through spiritual numbness, triggering recognition of their higher self. Some feel peace, others feel panic. Some lean in, others shut down. But either way, they're changed. Because your gaze isn't neutral, it's an invitation. Why animals and children trust you instantly ever notice how kids stare at you, or how animals seem drawn to you? That's because they're still connected to truth. They haven't been fully programmed by fear or performance. They feel energy, not words, spirit, not stories. And in you, they sense something safe, strong, and sacred. They don't need to understand the why. They feel the who, They're not reacting to your personality. They're responding to your frequency, protecting the sacred power of your eyes. Now let's flip the lens for a moment. Not everyone who locks eyes with you has good intentions. Some are curious, some are intimidated, and some are energetic parasites, drawn to your light without the capacity or desire to respect it. That's why discernment is critical. You don't need to return every stare. You don't need to hold eye contact to prove you're kind. You don't owe your gaze to every soul who wants a piece of your peace. Your eyes are gates, not windows, and not everyone deserves access. You can walk in love and still walk in wisdom. Because protecting your gaze is not rudeness. It's spiritual stewardship. You don't just see, you pierce. Your vision cuts through more than the physical. You've sensed when someone was lying before they even finished speaking. You've felt heartbreak behind smiles. You've known when someone was struggling, even when they said, "I'm fine." That's not just intuition, that's spiritual vision. Your sight isn't just 20/20, it's multidimensional. You see through timelines, you read energy shifts, you notice what others miss. That's why people feel bare in your presence, even if they're fully clothed. Because your spirit doesn't need permission to perceive truth. Here's how to use that vision with power and grace. Don't dilute it. If someone is meant to awaken through you, they will. Don't misuse it. Just because you can see into someone doesn't mean you should speak everything you sense. Don't apologize for it. The world needs more soul seers, not less. And don't forget to use it on yourself. Your gaze can reflect inward too, and your own soul deserves the same grace. If this hit home, comment 2020 if your spiritual sight is sharpening, or 888 if your gaze has been triggering deeper responses in others lately. You were given those eyes for a reason, not just to see the world, but to change it, not to dominate, but to awaken, not to control, but to reflect. Your eyes are sacred technology, and when used in alignment, they become the mirror where others meet their higher self. You don't need to explain it. Just keep looking with clarity, with peace, with purpose. Let's go beyond the physical for a moment. By now, you've probably noticed it's not just people who sense something about you. It's places, it's situations, it's timing. It's the way certain things shift just before you arrive or just after you leave. That's not coincidence. That's the result of being spiritually marked. Yes, you're protected, but you're also seen, and not just by people, by energies, by systems, by forces both light and dark. You were tagged by the divine before you took your first breath. Let's break it all the way down. Before you were born, before your name, your title, your personality, your soul was assigned to a path, assigned to a purpose, assigned to a divine timeline that stretches beyond this life. That assignment came with a mark, invisible to the eye, yet undeniable in the spirit. This mark is not a burden. It's a signal, an echo from the divine that says, this one walks with purpose. This one carries light. This one is on mission. And when you carry that kind of signature, the world will respond to it. Your protection has never been random. Let's talk about the things you survived, the breakdowns you recovered from, the near misses that should have taken you out, the relationships that tried to strip your light, but couldn't. You're not here by luck. You're here by covering. There were moments you didn't even know you were in danger. Moments you thought you were alone, but you weren't. There were spiritual interventions happening on your behalf, because the mark on your life carries weight. It alerts the higher realms when something tries to touch you, and that's why you're still here. Being marked means being noticed, even in silence. Here's the part that's hard for many chosen ones to embrace. You are not invisible, and you never will be. Not in spirit, not in energy, not in purpose. You walk into a room, and even if no one knows who you are, they feel something. Some admire you, some avoid you, some can't stop watching you, and a few resent you because they sense that you carry something they can't quite name, but can't unfeel either. This is what happens when you're spiritually stamped. It's not about fame. It's not about being the center of attention. It's about carrying energy that can't be ignored by humans or spirits. You're watched by light and dark, and yes, this part is real too. When you're marked by divine purpose, you attract both protection and opposition because light recognizes you. But so does darkness. This is why you may have felt spiritually targeted in seasons where you were doing nothing wrong. Why you've been hit with confusion, heaviness, fatigue, or random chaos that doesn't even make logical sense. It's because your energy field is not neutral. It disrupts, it heals, it awakens, and sometimes it threatens what isn't aligned. But don't let that scare you. Because here's the truth. What's placed on you by the divine can't be removed by darkness. Yes, you'll be watched, but you'll also be defended. Why some people act strange around you for no reason, you've felt it. You've walked into spaces and noticed the shift. Someone suddenly gets quiet. Another person becomes overly critical. Someone else seems overly drawn to you with no explanation. It's all spiritual. Some are seeing your light and don't know how to handle it. Others are feeling your authority, even if you never claim it out loud. A few are registering your assignment, even if they can't put it into words. You're not just triggering personal reactions. You're triggering energetic ones. Your mark does that. That's why isolation was required. Let's pause here for a sacred truth. The reason certain relationships fell apart, why you had to walk alone, why you couldn't follow the crowd, it wasn't rejection, it was refinement. You were being set apart because of the mark, not to be punished, to be prepared. Not everyone could walk with you. Not everyone deserved access to your anointing. And the road ahead required you to be able to walk alone before you walked in leadership. Isolation was not absence, it was alignment. You're watched because you're sent. When you carry divine frequency, you don't need a platform to be seen. Your walk is watched, your words are remembered, your spirit is felt. And that awareness brings responsibility. To walk with integrity, to protect your energy, to move with humility and authority at the same time. Being marked doesn't mean being perfect. It means being accountable to something higher. What you must remember every time they stare. Their stares aren't just reactions, they're recognitions. Every glance is confirmation that your energy is alive. Every whisper behind your back is proof that your light is working, even when you're silent. Every spiritual opposition is evidence that you're not just playing a role, you're fulfilling a mission. You didn't choose the mark, but you can choose how you carry it. Let it ground you. Let it guide you. Let it remind you every single time you feel different that you're not just noticed, you are seen for a reason. If you feel this word landed deeply, comment 4 for divine protection, or 000 if you know you're walking in divine covering. You were marked long before they misunderstood you. You were protected long before they saw you. And you were chosen long before you ever doubted it. Let's end this the way it began, with clarity. You've felt eyes on you for years. You've walked into rooms and felt 1,000 silent questions surround your presence. You've wondered, why me? Why do they stare? Why do I feel so visible even when I try to disappear? Now you know. It's not vanity. It's not imagination. It's not coincidence. It's confirmation. You were never meant to be invisible. You were never designed to hide. You were sent here to be seen because your light holds something this world needs. Visibility was never about ego. Let's be honest. There were times when you begged to disappear. You wanted to go unnoticed, to just exist quietly, to not be the one who always felt different. But the reason you couldn't vanish wasn't because you lacked humility. It was because your energy refused to mute itself, because it wasn't created to. You were designed to walk as a signal, a divine frequency that resonates in silent rooms and stirs the soul awake. And when something that powerful walks in, people will notice. Not with understanding, not always with grace, but they will feel it. And feeling you is part of the mission. You are the message. You've heard it said, preach the truth, and if necessary, use words. Well, chosen one, you are that truth. Your energy carries it. Your walk echoes it. And when people stare at you, they're not reacting to appearance. They're responding to presence. That presence carries the weight of what you've survived, the clarity of who you are, the memory of where you've come from, the responsibility of where you're going. Even in your silence, your spirit speaks. You don't need a pulpit. You don't need a microphone. You don't need a spotlight, because you are the light. You're being watched because you were sent to awaken. The system doesn't watch everyone. The matrix doesn't fear what it can control. Spiritual opposition doesn't waste time on what isn't significant. But you were marked, protected, watched, activated. Why? Because your life is a walking contradiction to the narrative of fear. Your energy is a silent protest against the lie that we're powerless. Your very existence challenges the illusion that truth can be buried. You show up, and things shift, sometimes softly, sometimes violently, but always intentionally. You weren't sent here to entertain. You were sent here to disrupt with peace, to awaken without force, to remind others who they are, simply by being who you are. Why you'll never be overlooked again. You've already spent enough years doubting yourself, questioning your presence, wondering if you're too much, trying to shrink to fit into systems that couldn't hold you. That season is over. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to be a landmark in someone else's awakening. A turning point, a soul nudge, a mirror. Even if they forget your name, even if they never speak a word to you, even if they turn away, they will never forget your energy. Because when truth walks by, the soul takes notice, and you carry that truth. Your light has a legacy. Every space you walk into, you leave a mark, not because of what you say, but because of what you carry. You shift conversations. You change emotional climates. You activate memories in people they didn't know they had. You reconnect them to themselves, and you do it without trying. Why? Because your very being is a message. The stares, the whispers, the energy shifts, they're not distractions, they're responses. Your light is working, even in silence, especially in silence. So how do you walk now that you know? You walk with awareness, but not arrogance, with grace, but not guilt, with power, but not performance. You protect your peace. You discern who gets access. You stay grounded, even when misunderstood. You move in truth, whether it's welcomed or resisted, because you're not here to be liked. You're here to be remembered spiritually. This is your spiritual identity. You are seen not just by eyes, but by souls. Felt not just emotionally, but energetically. Marked not just for visibility, but for vibrational impact. You were sent to trigger awareness, activate memory, radiate peace. Disturb what's false, hold space for what's real, and no one staring at you, whether with awe or confusion, can stop that mission from unfolding. If you've made it this far, this message was never random. Spirit placed it in front of you on purpose. So let's seal this. Drop a comment below with 7 if you feel divine alignment. 3 if downloads and insights have been flowing more lately. 444 if you know, without question, that you're protected in your calling. And if this message touched you, share it with someone who walks like they're carrying something bigger than this world allows. Let them know they're not imagining it either. Your final reminder: you were never meant to be hidden. You were sent to be seen by spirit, recognized by souls, and remembered by the light that lives inside you. So stop dimming, stop questioning, stop shrinking. You've been awakened. You've been activated. Now, walk in it. Because every stare is a sign. They see you because Spirit sent you to be seen.